On. All right. Good evening, everyone. Dave Wilson of the Ring and Hire Show. Hey, tonight is going to be a great show, and I have a great colleague on again, Kristen Cleveland, in Deer Park, Texas.
Yep.
All right. How you doing, Kristen?
I am sweating like nobody's business. Let's be honest. It's just now starting to ramp up here in Texas. So we're in kind of like the preheating is what I like to call it down here.
All right. Well, about 75 degrees right now. It's not as hot, so not bad in Pennsylvania.
Nice.
So tonight, everybody, we're going to talk about AI, and Christian's very, very well trained. What you want to say? You're gonna. So any kind of questions, and I got a lot for her, but we'll be right after this video. Right back. I told you.
Yeah, I love it.
I'll tell you what. When I saw the clip of it, the trailer, oh my God! If I put all the words that I talk about on LinkedIn on there, and it just makes your friggin' heart pound. Oh my God! So, all right, I got a lot of questions for you tonight, young lady. So
I am ready. I am ready.
AI within the recruiting industry and HR and everything that the positive that we're going to talk about tonight. So to me, AI just came on fast or something. It just came out of nowhere. Do you agree?
Well, I did believe that. But if you take a look back and you really think about AI technology, just in general, I think back to I can't even remember a time now in my life when I
Right.
didn't have Netflix, when I didn't have Amazon. I mean, my husband probably wishes I didn't have
Right.
Amazon, but I can't imagine my life without it. I mean, it offers up, it's like, hey, you're probably running low on this, you need to reorder this. It's interwoven into our lives every day. And now, like my kids, I mean, AI is everywhere. They're used to it. It is it may feel like it's just beginning, but for most of us, I mean, especially younger generations, they can't remember their lives without it.
Well, when I look at it, I look at it like social media when it came out. All right, for recruiting and utilizing this for recruitment. Let's face it, social media, Facebook. Back in the day, it's harder now, but back it was just listen. It was proven you could be one recruiter, and I was really my expertise was in that area, so I felt like with one recruiter with a huge team behind me. Now, with social media and utilizing, learning how to use the AI properly, I'll tell you what, one person is going to be very powerful if you really have that knowledge.
Absolutely. I would completely agree with you. I feel like learning how to really harness the AI and
Right.
use it to the best of your ability as a recruiter, anybody in HR, um, you are going to be so much more impactful as far as being able to build those relationships. Because I'm a huge proponent of relationship building. As a former,
Okay, but freeze right there a second.
oh,
Now,
okay,
relationship building, part of the downfall they say of AI is human emotions. Can you sit there and say, now I know you do this for a living too, but with AI, can you still have that part of it?
absolutely,
Oh,
and I would agree.
there we go.
I understand where they're coming from.
Right.
But I think if you look at it from the point of view as from a recruiter standpoint, if we are able, we know that 65% of their day is spent sourcing and scheduling.
Right.
If we are able to go in and automate that sourcing and scheduling for them so that they are not having to spend 65% of their day
Right.
doing just that, think about all of the relationships that they are able to build.
Right.
I mean, that's huge. And so I would argue that it's almost, the flip side of that, if you think about it in those terms.
When you look, because I look at, like, when you said something like that, all right, the first 2 hours of my job, I mean, I'm constantly going through my emails, getting all that stuff done. And then I try to spend from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. the recruiting. I have 4 hours of recruitment. And you're right. Sometimes if I had to sit there, and we talked about this before the show, and you have over a weekend, on Monday, you have 150 resumes, easy from Indeed, right? So you have to go through all these, one at a time and say, okay, move to a file, message. I can imagine having that software. Now, you talked about how it could rate the candidates A, the B, and the C. You
Yeah.
want to explain that for a little bit?
So, you have this great ATS. It's a
Right.
digital filing cabinet, basically. You have, and I would argue that you even have people already in your ATS that you're
Okay.
not reaching out to that might be a great fit for your position. But because it's hard to go back and in and out and really work through that, because it's not a system of engagement, I would
Right.
say, um, that I think you would even have more people, more than 150. If would you agree
Oh,
there?
I see what you're saying, because you're right, because if the ones that are applying for it, though, or is it going to search throughout all your resumes, what I mean, that you've had in your system, your ATS, or wow, I didn't even think of it that way.
Yeah, so absolutely. So you can go in. So what we do is we rate a candidate based on their resume, drop it in, and it pulls up like you have a set skill set that you need for, like, let's say
Okay.
for a trucking company. So I work a lot. I discuss trucking with trucking companies every day, and they need very specific criteria. They need to have, 3 years of driving, certain things that they absolutely have to have.
Right.
So it will go in and it will check off all the boxes. Okay, do they have this? Do they have this? Do they have this? Do they have this? You can basically create your own wish list that you want for that job, and
Right.
it will rate those people based on that criteria that you've set.
But
So
that begs, when we were talking, I had said to you, okay, so you say you have your A, B, and C, which is great. So it's going to pull out your A's, B's, and it's going to go off of the resume, just like we talk about ATSs all the time. Now putting AI into it. So what happens? What do you tell those people? Listen, when it comes to your resumes, listen, I would have it professionally done. Or, I mean, I'm going to hit key for that all the time, to have it professionally done, or you do have to, or you not have to. But if you don't have those right words, if you don't have those keywords, even when utilizing AI in your recruitment, it's going to miss you.
I
Right?
would argue that you really even skills. So skills are so important,
Right.
especially like I can speak to this because I went from teacher to tech.
Yeah, we talk
So
transferable skills. We talk about that
yeah,
a lot
so
with it.
I didn't necessarily have every skill that I needed to be an SDR. But I was able to go in, and what I did was I looked specifically at the job description and I was like, okay, they need this. They
Right.
need this. What do I have here in teaching that translates to this? And I need to use their verbiage,
Yeah.
as well. So I had to go in and really create a resume that made sense for that job specifically,
Okay.
because
It's gonna miss that.
yeah, and I think a lot of people don't do that. They just use one resume and they just, spray and pray basically. They're sending it out to, a million people, a million different jobs. But I would argue that you even probably need to really narrow things down and create a resume that makes sense for that position.
And that's
So
where when I was doing some research on it too, is, and I know you're gonna agree, is all right, you got your ABC candidate. Okay, so you naturally you want that A, and we talked about there's always ways to get that B and C to get up there. We know that, but then it also can predict from past behavior or past rank if that employee is going to be successful with you or not.
oh, Don't
I
even
mean,
get me started on the employee
see,
experience. I mean, that is a whole nother. I mean, because we are a full platform, we go all the way from recruit to retire. So we even use the AI with our employees. So, like, I have my own dashboard here at Phenom,
right,
and it is looking at, okay, here are the skills that she has. It will suggest based on, like, it'll offer up positions that they think I might be a good fit for, based on my resume. Now, I may be an A fit for this one, but the one that I really want, I might be a B fit for that one. So then it
right,
will offer up, hey, take, here are these classes that you can take here, because we have a learning module in there as well. And you'd be like, hey, take this class over this to help you get that, that knowledge that you need to be an A candidate. So we also do that within our employee engagement system as well.
okay.
So that it's not just from the candidate aspect, it's also engaging your employees in a meaningful way, kind of showing them what their North Star is, how to get there. You're not just be like, hey, here's a position,
See, that's
good
why when you see,
luck.
well, that's what I mean. When you're talking about employee engagement, if anybody doesn't know, if I sat there and say, hey, let's use AI for it, you got to learn it. You got to know what you're talking about. Because I told you before, I'm trying to learn a lot about it, but there's so much. I mean, I know you do this for a living, and you look at some of this stuff and it blows your mind.
Yeah,
So how do I get to A point B and C? So I utilize the AI to to teach me how to do that. And what
absolutely.
steps, and you've told me some great videos, things I could do myself. But that employee engagement does not just mean the hiring process, right? That's what you're talking about. You're talking about as they
No.
work for you,
Yes.
you have a portal, you're putting all this information in there. I guess I can see how that really could make you grow if you're a BC person that just doesn't have the right stuff in the profile.
Well, I mean, and think about how much it costs just to hire somebody. Like, think about
Right,
how much it costs to recruit somebody.
right,
We know that is very costly. Well, I would argue maybe you invest that into your employees, try to fill those positions internally, really
right.
encourage that internal mobility.
I wish I
Uh,
could tape that 10,000 times what you just said. Utilize it within the company. Our company's great for that right now. They really do. They believe to promote within, and I love that factor. Some companies will say it, but they don't walk the talk.
oh,
You know,
absolutely.
I
I
don't
would
understand why you have to go out. Why do you have to go out to companies for leaders or maybe if you're high, different ones that are qualified, but for your internal, I just think you got everybody's there.
Well, and I think you also have to think about where we are. Like I talked about Amazon and
Right,
Netflix, Spotify, all of those things that we're using every single day. You need those same things for your candidates. You need those same things for your employees. You need to make it easy on them to have those experiences, especially from an employee engagement standpoint. Um, they should not have to go to your career site externally to find a job and
right.
apply for it. They should have a place where they can internally apply for that job. Um, but that
Makes total
all
sense.
kind of goes together, and as far as the internal mobility part of it. So there's all of these things that are so interwoven, and even giving your managers, I mean, you know how important it is as far
Right,
as management is concerned to have real-time data and analytics.
right.
Well, so that they're making the best choices. So you need to have that as well, and you can automate so much for your managers, make
See, I'm
their
glad I
time.
had you on. I didn't realize all that tonight. I'm glad I had you on. See, I I just thought employee engagement was more so towards the recruiting, and that is too to get like I told you before, high volume recruiting. I think this would man. I'll tell you what, I
Oh,
got excited with social media. Now with AI, I think I'd go crazy, man. I got have that drive, but
high volume
the other
is
part of it
incredible.
on the inside, yeah, the high volume. Oh my God, could that probably help?
What you're able to do with AI technology and high volume hiring, I mean, you can literally hire somebody within 24 hours.
See,
With
I love that.
We can go from hello to hire, um, in under 24 hours. I mean,
That's incredible.
it's incredible, what we're able to do with AI technology, but it all boils down to engaging with a candidate, getting as much information as possible, being able to source and see if they're a good fit, you know, schedule them. I mean, we can take people's calendars that need to be a
Right.
part of that interview, and we can schedule the interview
See, that's what I
without,
mean.
yeah, without the recruiter ever having to coordinate everybody's calendars and get everybody in the same room. It's fantastic. I mean, it's a game changer.
It is. And listen, I mean, I always say, hey, I think when you've been in industry for a while, there's a lot of people that are saying, no, I don't want this. You don't have a choice, really.
No.
This is 10 years from now. We talked about 10 years from now. If you're not aboard, you're going to really struggle if you don't learn some part of it. If you don't reach out to professionals like yourself and companies like yourself to guide you through, because the savings, the old days are gone. It's you just would Google, but now everything with just AI is just it's crazy.
Well, I mean, think about as a candidate,
Right.
I can go if I'm applying for a job, I don't know, just anywhere, some retail,
Right.
hub. I'm applying. And let's say it's a difficult, like I have to go through various, numerous clicks. I have to
Right.
create a login. I have to do all of this stuff. I'm not going to spend the time to do that.
Right.
I'm just going to bail and I'm going to go to the next retailer that has made my life so much easier. And, chatbot pops up, starts asking me questions.
I love chatbots. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's incredible.
I
And
use them at
until
nighttime. I think they always get to I know that if I interact with it, I know the next day I'm going to get a call or an email.
Oh, absolutely. I would 100% agree with you. And having an intuitive chatbot is a game changer. I mean, there are chatbots that you can even apply through the chatbot.
Yeah,
I
I was
mean,
on
it's
the part.
incredible what they're able to do. And here's the thing. Even if a person, let's say they don't finish the apply process. Let's say they don't finish the full application. Well,
Right.
because you've engaged with that chatbot, you've had this conversation, they have all of this information. They can create you in
Yep.
the CRM, and now your recruiter can start building that relationship, get them to complete that application.
Get the
That
application.
is a game changer for
It is,
recruitment.
because I like when you said, and everybody knows pain points of application processes. You have to sign in, like you said, create a login. Then all of a sudden you forgot your password. Then you got to go back. By utilizing stuff like this, that's going to make it easier. Again, easier, 24 hours, boom. And in high volume, you could have them hired just like that.
Yeah. I mean, and think about, retail workers. Think about people that are on the road, like truckers,
Right.
people that are driving. They need the ease of that process. We don't need to make it harder on them. I mean, retailers are hiring like crazy. I
Right.
mean, I go and I look at career sites every day, and they're hiring like crazy. You need to be able to keep up with that and that high volume hiring. I mean, if you're able to hire somebody under 24 hours, I mean, that is
Amen.
huge. That's a difference maker for them.
And I look at the one of the biggest things that I like about it is we talk a lot about bias. Okay.
Mm,
So if you were just to put somebody through the process, our ABC candidates, between the ATSs and your resumes and the questions, the interviews, a lot of people say about being biased. This almost, wow, the only bias would be the bias when you walk through that door, but prior to that, you could have more of those ABs, versus CDs, because it's actually seeing what you've done
yeah.
and calculating those results for you to at least look at. A lot of it, I believe, is just educational. It's to educate you and teach you and look at this data. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't lie. Right there's the data of it, and you could say, wow. Again, you're going to find somebody, you might be surprised, but you're always going to have bias. They're going to walk through that door. Somebody's not going to like you for a lot of different reasons. But
Yeah.
utilizing the software like this, I just think it's a game changer.
It is, absolutely, I would agree, and, I hear that a lot, we talk a lot about bias, but I feel like it really does help kind of even the playing field,
Right.
for people, um, And what I also love about it is that, okay, maybe you're a B or C candidate,
Right.
and that's okay.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong
But
with it. I mean,
here's the thing, maybe you're not a great fit for this position,
right.
but the recruiter can look at it and they can be like, okay, they were a B candidate here, but they're actually an A candidate for this position. I'm
So,
going to reach out to them and I'm going to say, hey, I saw that you applied for this. I think you should apply for this position. So you can start building that relationship. You can start reaching out to people based on, you know, that information, and it makes everything move so much faster.
do you get a lot of people? You do take some slack, or oh, I don't want to use this. I don't want to do this. A company, oh, I'm not doing this. It's too confusing. It's too much. What do you tell companies? What do you tell someone, like, listen, relax. Let me just show you. I guess a lot of it's got to be like, let me show you how it's done.
Yeah, I
You know,
think once they understand the process of it, and ultimately, I mean, I think we hear a lot of we hear a lot about people are nervous about the AI. But
right?
what I try to explain to people is that ultimately a human is the final decision maker.
Correct. That I agree 100%.
So you're not taking the human out of it. You're just making it a little bit easier on that human to get to the right people quicker.
Right, because you're still going to interview. People don't feel like you're still
Absolutely.
you still have to go for an interview. This is
Yeah.
the process to get you to that quicker. That if I had to reduce, when you said 65%, if I had to take that from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and took 65% out of all my sourcing, right? Wow. And
Yeah.
reach out to candidates right away and say, hey, I would like to have you come in for an interview, knowing that it just came from, I know everybody's going to say, I'm going to take slack of it. I always do. And you're going to, I'm sure you do, is,
Yeah.
oh, we don't want to use this stuff. We don't want to use this. No, I'm sorry. It comes down to the human at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. And I think once they see the full picture of it and they really understand, hey, all we are is a layer of AI technology that sits on top of the technology that you're already using. And
That's
we
true.
just make it smarter.
Is there
That's
something
really,
that stands out in your mind that somebody says the reason why they don't want to utilize it? Or is I mean, does it come down to education of it, learning
yeah,
about
it
it? Or,
really just is about educating people. It's not, I don't get a lot of pushback, honestly. Um, a lot of it is just, hey, we're not interested in this right now.
right.
But once they understand, hey, this is the ROI on this.
Yeah. That,
This
oh
is
God.
what, you know, and once you start talking about ROI, they're like, oh, well, that makes sense. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. We are shrinking time and we are saving you money. And that's a bottom line thing. That's
Yeah.
what most people are like, oh, we like that bottom line. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. And then I saw on LinkedIn, they posted a video of this young lady. She was interviewing for a job with an avatar that was, well, I would just say a chat bot that looks like a female. They may, I don't know, but she was interviewing with her for 20 minutes and I watched it and I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I was just like, oh my God, they're having but you know what? If it works, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think let's be honest, recruiting is a hard job. It
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
very difficult job. So I think if you can take the parts of the job that are
Yeah.
tedious and make it a little bit easier for
Yeah.
your recruiters, I think that's kind of a no-brainer,
Yeah.
and so once people understand the technology behind it, and that's well above my pay grade, let's be
Right.
honest. Um, once they understand the full technology, behind it, they're
But
like,
but the hiring process when I watched was you can explain the first day for a full 8 hours. They showed videos and parts of it. It told you exactly what you were doing each part of the day. Had somebody speaking to you, and this was all done in an email.
yeah.
And it broke it down to for the schedule for the first 2 or 3 days worth of work, what they were going to be doing. I was like, I mean, it was just a click of a button and you're done.
Yeah,
Your
absolutely.
onboarding process. It explained your onboarding process.
Yes, yes. And I think you'll see more of that. I suspect, just in the next
Right.
couple of years. I think a lot of people will start moving towards that.
Yeah, going towards that. But I mean, that's got to be a part of it too, to utilize that within your hiring not just seeking candidates, but making your experience, again, what you talked about, going from point A to point B, getting them hired, telling them what to bring, what they need to do. I mean, that's got to be a big part of it. And if you could send it out like in a blast, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but if you could just send it out to people and you don't have to make those phone calls.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially like if you think about from an employee perspective,
Right.
like just having everything. I mean, because think about all the like on a daily basis. Think about all the different places, all the different websites that you go to just to find like specific information that
Right.
pertain to your job. Think about if you had one place where you could find all of that information. Like we can even offer up mentors.
Right.
It even suggests mentors within the company. So it's like, hey, this person would be a good fit for you as
Oh,
a
if you're
mentor.
talking about when you're employee engagement,
Yeah.
when
So
you're
I mean,
hired, when you're working.
yes, absolutely. So I would even kind of even push onboarding, go thinking out a little bit further. I mean, mentorship. Think about ERGs, employee research groups like,
Right.
um, you know, women in tech or, military. There's so many things that you can do from an employee engagement
That makes so much
perspective
sense.
that you can automate with AI technology. Um, there's just, I mean, it can just blow your mind, like what you're able to do.
And that's
But
that's what I look at. What you're saying is, I'm glad I had you on tonight about that part, because I think a lot of companies, they lack in employee engagement. We all do, and I just think it comes down to everybody doesn't have enough time. People are just, you're busy. You're busy. So what do you want
yeah,
to do for the employees? But it makes total sense if this can help them get that communication.
mhm.
I think that's a big thing, is to communicate something, not just posting it on a board, not just doing this, but a place for the employees to go to learn and see what's going on. I mean, because they don't know. A lot of them don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want those employees to be sticky. You don't want them um, to be like, okay, well, this has been great. Thanks for recruiting me. Now
Right.
what?
Now
You
what?
know,
Uh,
now
that,
what do I do next?
and
And so I feel like a lot of times that kind of gets kind of pushed to the wayside. And that is something that I feel like is going to be a huge push, especially, in this economy and everything that we have going on. You want to hold on to those employees. You don't want to have to spend the money to hire more employees.
no, when it comes down to that, I think you're right, spot on about that. I mean, that changed my mind tonight a lot about it, because I was just thinking part of that is the hiring process. So I think I'm going to start trying to look into more of that to see to your ROI right there. You're going to see that when you don't have people leaving,
Yeah.
when they're working, and you might have some employees out there that you don't know about their backgrounds as much. They might have the skill set and you don't even know it.
Well, they may have even developed a skill set since they've
Right.
started at your company. Like there's
Yeah.
even ways that you can go in to our dashboard and you can add in stuff like, let's say I went to a conference and I learned about something. I can put that into my dashboard and now I have that skill as well. So I feel like as an employer, you don't
Right.
always know everything. There's just no way when you have, I mean, think about companies that have 10 to 15,000 employees. There's there's no way to have a pulse on every single one of those
Right.
employees. To know if they're, dissatisfied, to know if they're, I mean, there's just no way when you have that many
Not
employees.
when it comes to that. And that's there again, we have a lot of that around here. When you have like the logistics, I always say legit, that's my specialty. And when you have 500 to 1,000, again, people will just sit there and say, well, I'm just a number. Well, they don't know who I am. When it comes to promoting leads, supervisor, managers, you should be able to reach out and figure out who you're going to choose, not just by working on the floor, but again, I didn't think of it that way, as not knowing about that person, and this is going to give it to you.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. So, I mean, there's so many different things that AI can do in the talent experience. It's not
right?
just, um, yes, please. Oh, no. Nope. Sorry.
Oh, that's sorry. We
Yeah.
got Joel up here. Happy Memorial Day, Joel. He's on the show on Thursday with me on Thursday. He's gonna be on
Awesome.
the
Hey,
show. So
Joel.
Joel,
Oh, yeah,
he's going to definitely want to utilize this in there. They came. I was just messing around, just googling some stuff, and I guess. But they one of the things that says, "Who was the father of AI?" And I saw this gentleman's name, John McCarthy, Alan Turing, Marvin Minsky, and Alan Newell. I have never heard those names before, but the main person was the father of AI. I don't even know who this guy is. I got to do a little research. John McCarthy. Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Well, there is a great podcast that I listen to, and it's called Pondering AI.
Right.
And they have some really great conversations with experts in the field of
In the
AI
field.
technology. And so that is a great one if you want to learn more. It's called Pondering AI. I'm sure you can find it on, I listen to it on
Well,
Apple because I'm an
well,
Apple.
All right. Well, we'll put that in the link. We'll put that on there so everybody can go to. And then there was one other thing. It's at the top. Everybody talks about how AI is going to eliminate jobs and recruiters. It's going to eliminate everybody. Not one of the. It said that. Listen, I don't know if it's true. Top 10 jobs to be affected: data entry, customer service, paralegals, graphic designers, bankers, and accountants. I'm like, where did they come up with this information?
They just pulled it out of the air, I'm sure. They used Chat GPT to figure that out. I'm sure they were like, what are the top jobs to be?
Yeah, what is that? Joel says, so is a bad thing, or is it something we can harness for recruiting? He just joined on if he would have saw some.
Yes. I am very pro AI for recruiting to make the lives of your recruiters a little bit easier, free up their day a little bit more, take out the sourcing and the scheduling off their plates.
And that's what we're going to do. So I am so glad I had you on tonight. We're almost 35 minutes. That went fast.
Yes.
Oh, God. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. I'd like to have you on again, and we can deep dive into more of a conversation with it, more of the employee engagement. That's what I'm going to hit the next show. Of
Absolutely.
what does it mean again? What can it do? Because if that can, what I learned tonight is if that can make it easier when you have 200, 300, 400 employees, and it's going to help them engage, you're going to save a lot of money, and you're going to save your recruiting costs because you're going to lower that down. You're going to speed it up with AI. So the whole thing comes around. It's like it all comes together. The only thing is I still feel about those resumes. I don't know what to tell people there.
Well, I mean, I think resumes, like I said, I think you have to really slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
And you need to really look at the actual position that you are applying for.
Right.
And you need to tailor that resume to the job description, and you need to use their verbiage. Because like I said, going from a teacher to technology, I wasn't using the same verbiage. Trust me. My first resume was just horrendous. I was like, they do not care that I wrangled, 125, junior high students. That does not help them at all.
It doesn't help them.
How do I make this transferable to technology? So it was really kind of slowing down and saying, how do I put this into this verbiage?
Into that to change it over. So again, thank you so much, Kristen. It's always, oh my God, it's a lot of fun. All the way in Texas. Deer Park, you said, right?
Deer Park, Texas. Yeah.
I don't even know where Deer Park is, but I'm in Pennsylvania, so we're on the other side we're all the way across on the other side here. But I want to talk to you after this. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Joel. And I enjoyed the show. So we will be talking soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.